Hello, everybody. I am Patrick Daugherty. Welcome as we continue our ROTOWORLD Draft Day Marathon. I'm here joined by some really good friends of the site, some former writers of the site, betrayers of the site, you might say. We're going to draft some PPR teams. We're going to talk strategy. Going to cry about players we don't get. I'm joined by Mr. Hayden Winks of Underdog Fantasy, Mr. Danny Kelly of The Ringer, Miss Jen Eakins of 4for4. Yeah, we're just going to draft. We're just going to chat. And I have some coffee, even though it's 4:15 Central Time here. I drink coffee late in the day. It probably disrupts my sleep. But first, how's everyone doing?
Doing great.
Hayden, this is the first time Hayden and I have spoken since March of 2021.
Yeah, I haven't been returning your calls.
No.
Big time.
At least twice an hour every day for 18 months. That's right. I'm surprised AT&T still allows my calls to go through.
This is true. Yeah, otherwise, doing great. Still reading The Athletic and ESPN every hour. Nothing's changed. Still repping the NBC merch. So nothing's new.
Jen, how are things over in 4for4 land?
Things are good. Good. Ramping up just like everywhere and everyone. But yeah, things are good.
Hayden, I'll start with you with draft. First off, Hayden, are you allowed to draft? Do you have underdog teams? I actually should have asked you this before the show even started, but I was going to ask how many best ball drafts you've done this summer.
I've done a ton. I'm not allowed to do the public drafts, but we have employees tournaments. So I'm drafting against my coworkers and we're doing drafts all day long. So yes and no.
So do you think you or Patrick Corain have done? I think Pat Corain might be the most effective underdog fantasy surrogate out there. Where he estimated to me quite literally that he has done 250 drafts on underdog.
Yeah, that would be more than me. I've probably done about 100 at this point.
So Hayden, this year how much redraft are you playing this year? Any?
My league with my friends. Yeah, I'm basically doing the best ball stuff. I'm in one dynasty league, I think, with a couple of us on this show as well, but mostly best ball.
So I view you, as like Mr. Strategy Guy because you know how to use Microsoft Excel, and I don't. I do know how to open it in a Google Sheet, so I'm pretty.
That's a start.
Yeah, I'm pretty tech savvy, not to brag. But what is your preferred build this year? I know we're kind of in a community where the preferred build is just always early wide receiver or hero RB, and we're never going running back heavy. But just in general, how do you find yourself starting your builds this season?
So I think the quarterback and tight end position is the most interesting. Starting with the tight ends, I'm a little bit nervous that the elite tight ends aren't as elite as they have been previously, like prime Gronk, prime Kelsey, prime Kittle. We're dealing with worse quarterbacks, age, or just overall target competition for those. So I've been waiting on tight ends. And on the flip side, I used to be on team wait on quarterback, but now it seems like the top 6 or so have separated just with either being MVPs like Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes, or being able to run the ball like Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. So I've been drafting more early quarterback and late tight end. And I think a couple years ago that would have been flipped.
Yeah, and that's interesting point you make about tight end, where it's I guess Andrews and Kelsey in a tier to themselves still, and then you still got mega upside in the second tier, but still it's the question mark upside tier where Kyle Pitts is on one of the worst teams in football. George Kittle might have to block more than ever as they go to this dual threat, running quarterback system. And Darren Waller has the biggest target hog in the NFL, joining a skill core. And then, tight end this year, once you get beyond that top 5, it's becomes the Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert, kind of like Zach Ertz tier. I feel like there's less upside than usual in that tier. I feel like there's less making the leap candidates than usual, to the point where I find myself touting Cole Kmet quite frequently. And I don't, at tight end, it feels like one of the harder positions to predict. Danny, what is your drafting? How much have you been drafting? How do you find yourself building your teams? Give us your spiel.
So I'm less into the best ball stuff and way more into dynasty. I'm the dynasty weirdo of the group, I guess. I love dynasty, so I don't have a real strong opinion on draft strategy and things like that. I do think that it really just kind of depends on where you are in the first round, whether you're going to take a running back or a receiver. because I think, there's like 5 guys that I'm like really confident in, and then everybody else is just sort of like, okay, hopefully this works out.
It never does.
Yeah, but I agree with Hayden in terms of like the tight end position. It's just an interesting year for that. I have like no confidence in anyone outside the top like 5 or 4 guys there. You could even like take Kittle off, because I think with the hype around Ayuk, and obviously Debo is going to do what Debo does, like there's a chance here that Kittle just falls off a cliff in terms of his like.
Yeah, in terms of fantasy, in real life,
Yeah.
they'll probably be like, oh, he's the greatest blocking tight end in the history of the league.
He's going to be pancaking dudes and just doing the Kittle thing. But I do worry that one of those 3 guys is just, not going to be what we think he's going to be, not going to be what ADP seems to think that he's going to be. So, I think like there's really 4 tight ends that I want. And so most of the time I'm either not reaching, but like going pretty early with tight end, or just absolutely waiting till the end, getting a guy like Austin Hooper, Taysom Hill, or, whoever, just grabbing a couple tight ends at the end and hoping for the best.
Jen, I'm going to ask you to order the top 3 receivers in just a second, but real quick, Danny, you said you're dynasty focused.
Yeah.
Which 2, like say 1 or 2, 3 rookies do you think will make the biggest redraft impact this year? Which I'm sure, even if you're dynasty focused, you've been thinking also about through the lens of 2022 impact. Which rookies do you think will actually make the biggest redraft impact?
Obviously, I think Olave has a really interesting situation in New Orleans. It sounds like they're going to be more pass heavy than they have been in the past. That's like sort of one of the main pieces of buzz that's coming out of camp there, assuming Winston is healthy. In the last couple of years, they've just not had, I guess, like the personnel in place to like really go pass heavy. I don't think, like receivers and then quarterback, it's just been kind of a mess. This is the year, I think, where they can things will maybe come together. And I think Olave is probably going to be a starter right away. Depending on how like Michael Thomas looks too, like Michael Thomas feels like one of the most unreliable people in this entire like season. I think there is a world in which he just gets back to what he was used to do. But also, like, it wouldn't surprise me too much if he just like kind of keeps doing the Michael Thomas thing and has mysterious injuries pop up and he just doesn't end up playing for like half the season. So these are all kind of reasons I really like Olave this year. In particular, I just think he, is a polished route runner, should be able to hit the ground running, has that deep threat ability, which means he has, touchdown potential, explosion week type potential. And so I guess he would be one guy that stands out. This is funny because Treylon Burks is another like super high variance guy. The vibes around Treylon Burks are atrocious. I don't remember having a rookie with like worse vibes. A first round rookie,
especially not a skill player rookie.
Yeah,
like it's normally always like a lineman or something. Like, oh, he showed up 390.
Yeah, what's new in Tennessee with the first round? We've never seen this happen before.
Oh yeah, Isaiah Wilson sends his regards. Yeah.
So I was excited to see what Burks would do, just because there's a lack of target competition there, but it doesn't even sound like he's going to be a starter. So maybe Sky Moore would be another one I'd throw out there, just because I think he's good.
Get your cred with the fantasy hipsters too.
I mean, honestly, the guys in front of him, I just don't have a lot of faith in, like MVS, even Juju. I'm still sort of on the fence about, just because, he hasn't really shown us like high level production or high level, talent in the last couple of years. And like, I could just see a world where Sky Moore ends up kind of just like slowly replacing him as the year goes on. So I'm excited about Sky Moore too.
We're going to get the draft started in just a second, but Jen, I feel like, top 2 at running back is set. Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. Some people, especially in best ball, are flipping that and still betting on McCaffrey just because of the monstrous upside. And like the top 3 at receiver are set. I just don't know about the order. And how do you order Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, who we're kind of all hoping is the next Cooper Kupp, and Jamar Chase, who seems to be living up to his billing as the greatest receiver prospect, an elite, maybe since Julio Jones, maybe since Randy Moss. How do you order those top 3?
I personally have Jefferson first, then I have Kupp, and then I'm really torn. I know, like you just said, it's kind of a given that Chase is in that top 3, but I kind of see Chase and Adams pretty close. It's tough for me to distinguish. I feel like in that Raiders offense, yes, he has Waller and there's Renfro, but I feel like, depending on the scoring format, right? But if you're looking at a PPR situation, I feel like Adams has the edge a little bit over Chase, just based on, competition there target wise. So I think for me, it's kind of a 3A, 3B interchangeable there. But I do have Jefferson over Cup.
It's a deep tier at the top when like maybe the greatest living PPR fantasy receiver. I'm like, yeah, he's fourth.
Yeah,
that's like
I can't toss him yet. I've been scooping him up everywhere and hoping that the old car connection with Adams is what we hope it'll be.
So it's quite a life decision to decide. After quite literally like making history, like rewriting the record book with Aaron Rodgers, you decide that Derek Carr is still your football soulmate because you played together at Fresno State. So Davante Adams, yeah, he's making it interesting for all of us, including tiering the top of the receivers. So we're about to get started. We have gotten started here.
Yeah, apparently I'm on the clock here.
Hayden Winks silently picked Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm up. Cool.
Cooper
I
Kupp.
guess I'll jump on the Jonathan Taylor grenade, even though the vibes are bad this week about it.
I feel like Taylor, like all the vibes, like the vibes-based Taylor economy is just because we've run out of things to say. Like, yeah, he's an awesome young player.
Seriously.
All summer I've been kind of incredulous, like not really believing that they're going to really like maybe sacrifice Jonathan Taylor snaps because they want Nyheim Hines to catch some passes.
Yeah.
So,
I wasn't sure if the order that we were in was actually the real order. So that in my mind, I was already on the wide receiver page. So that's why I just went I didn't even think about Taylor because my brain was already thinking elsewhere.
Well, I'm already in hell. We're 6 picks in. It's been CMC, Jefferson, Kupp, Taylor, Eckler, Chase, and I'm feeling like boxed in to running back. And I just
it's ugly out there at the end of the draft order. Honestly, regardless of format, I feel like it's ugly.
So Hayden, I'm going to fall back on my old spreadsheet friend Hayden. Do I try to go Najee Harris or do I PPR? Do I take maybe Jen at her word that Davante Adams might belong in that elite tier? Stockpile some receptions. What the heck do I? Hayden, just tell me what.
I think it would be between Davante Adams and Najee Harris, especially in full PPR. I think you go either way. I do like a lot of the running backs in the second round versus the wide receivers in the second round. Kind of seem a little suspect to me. So this is not a bad spot to go Davante Adams.
I think I might go Najee just because the snaps, the touches. I actually like some of the receivers in the second round. I would have liked to have gone receiver here and then take DeAndre Swift with my second pick, but I don't think DeAndre Swift will get back to 2.5. So basically, I'm taking Najee, and none of you were on the clock before me. The plan is basically to get DJ Moore. I'll just be honest with you. Yeah, assuming like 8 or 9 receivers go here, the plan is to get DJ Moore.
We get on the phone and trade in right in front of you.
Almost spit out my coffee. That would have been real bad. I'm sure none of these other people in the draft are watching the stream, so I can just like openly talk about my strategy.
Oh, it does look like we have Bill Belichick drafting from the 12 spot, so I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Hey, if he takes Damian Harris at 112, maybe that means to pump the brakes on Romanja Stevenson. So there goes Davante Adams as the wide receiver 4. So we're going Derrick Henry too. We've been pretty chalky so far. Steph Diggs. This is like full chalk.
I don't know about Henry there in PPR being chalk, but I guess it is.
I mean, at 110, even in PPR, yeah. I mean, even in a PPR, like touches and touchdowns become overwhelming at some point. But wow, DJ Moore really down the sleeper pre-ranks. So I'm not sure I could actually do that at 2.5. And maybe I should have listened to Hayden and taken Davante Adams at 1.7. And I just want to cry.
Have you guys decided on what the abusing the default ranks title is going to be? I know we were debating what we should be calling that because the names did get pretty vulgar, but I'm curious to see the abusing the sleeper default rankings would be an interesting column.
I think now it's the politely using the default ranks to your potential advantage. Not that there's anything wrong with their pre-ranks.
Right.
That's what we're calling it.
Very politic.
Yeah, where there's a difference of opinion ranks. Kyle Dvorchak will be writing that column, and it'll be out soon. It's almost back to me, and DeAndre Swift is still on the clock, and it's just way too soon. At least by the draft room stat. What's the earliest you've seen DJ Moore going, Hayden?
I'd say still third round, late third round, like 30th overall is kind of where it's like after Mike Williams, maybe next to Cortland Sutton, kind of in that range, like well after like Tyreek Hill.
So DeAndre Swift just went. It's CMC, Jefferson, Cup, Taylor, Eckler.
So Jack Wickers is having the draft you should have had. You see,
Yes, he very, very, very much is. And now you talked about falling on the John Taylor grenade in the first round, Danny Kelly.
Yeah.
Is it time to just fall on the Deebo Samuel grenade here?
I mean, sure.
Chase the monstrous upside. Anyone have AJ Brown and monstrous upside? I'm not going to take Tyreek. I'm not going to take Mike Evans. I'm basically deciding between Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown. I feel like
the camp reports on AJ Brown have been overwhelmingly
glowing.
positive. Yeah,
glowing.
Is that a red flag? Like, should we be?
Oh yeah, that's a red
that?
flag. You want it to be bad. That's why I'm taking. Right now, I'm going to just freak out and take. Who were we talking about was having bad reports earlier? I can't even finish my joke.
Oh,
Traylon Burks.
Mm-hmm. I just took Traylon Burks at 2.8. So no, I took Debo.
That's bold.
I mean, why are we down on Debo? Because he held out?
I'm not.
It's because of the touchdown variance, I think, right? Like he's almost surely going to score fewer touchdowns based on like the way that he scored last year is the big thing. Plus, if you buy the idea that Ayuk is now the number one,
I don't buy that even remotely, just to be frank.
So you're not. So Pat, you were just completely ignoring Tyreek Hill. Are you out on Hill?
Oh, I have a sneaking suspicion. Hayden, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you have this take too? Someone told me you did after I floated this take. I sort of feel like Jalen Waddle is going to outscore Tyreek Hill. Am I misattributing this to you? Pat Carrain told me he thought maybe you're on this train.
I have not said this, but I'm treating that situation that I don't want either of them. I just don't see Tua being able to handle both of them. I don't know who's going to be the 1A, 1B. So I'm just avoiding it. I think like the Cortland Suttons, I would rather bet on that offense. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. I would rather pick DJ Moore than those types.
Danny, you're on the okay. I was making sure. Okay, Danny he thinks Tyreek Hill is outpointing Jalen Waddle and
go. Yeah, like just going for it here. I actually pretty much agree, but I think that there's a pretty big tier break. Well, maybe not pretty big, but
what is happening?
Tyreek is the last of that receiver tier in my mind.
Jen, you have 40 seconds to figure out if you're having a malfunction.
Oh, that's him beeping. Okay, I thought it was me, and I was trying to draft, and it wasn't letting me, and I was like, "What is going on?" Okay, cool.
You've got 30 seconds left, Jen.
Okay.
Who are you going to pair with Cooper Kupp?
I am going to go with Lenny if I can take him, but it's not letting me, and I'm not really sure why.
Ray, can you make a pick? Raymond Summerlin, can
yeah,
you pick
it's like it's literally not letting me take him.
Let me see if I can do it.
My thing says that time's up for Danny, and it's not. Let me refresh, but I don't know if I have time.
Well, you're going to get auto-picked. Oh, we've had Commissioner pause.
Perfect. Give me 1 second. I just had to refresh, and maybe it'll let me now.
I'll reset the second round real quick. It was CeeDee Lamb at 2-1, Saquon at 2-2, Travis Kelce at 2-3, Swift, Debo, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Tyreek Hill. Do any of those people strike you as out of place, Hayden?
If you unpause there, Ray, I think I'm good. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I think that's about what ADP agrees with. I'm not sure if I would go Deebo Samuel personally, but I can hear the argument.
No, the only pick you're truthing is mine.
It's not letting me pick, guys.
Yeah,
Josh Allen.
Oh, come on now. We can't do that.
It's not letting. Oh, there goes Leonard Fournette to Hayden. So Jen, who wanted to take Josh Allen, very much couldn't stop talking about how she wanted to take Josh Allen. So sorry.
Wow, second round. Like I don't even know what to say about that. Like that's not even.
Here comes Gabe Davis on the wrap.
No, I can't even stomach that. Even with Allen, that's not going to happen.
So, Hayden, you talked about like maybe the top of the quarterback kind of separating itself to the point where like we can't just necessarily laugh off early QB anymore. When do you actually start seriously taking about Josh Allen? Jen took Josh Allen in the second round by a timeout. Let's just be clear. But when do you actually start thinking about taking an elite quarterback, Hayden?
Well, the first part is I only take the elite quarterbacks if I have their elite skill players before. The exception kind of is like Rashad Bateman goes after Lamar Jackson, and same thing with maybe Juju and Patrick Mahomes. But for me, it's like fourth round's kind of the go time. Like Justin Herbert in the fourth round, if I have one of his receivers, I'm into that. But I'm never going to be drafting like Herbert in the fourth round unless I have Keenan or Mike Williams.
And that makes a lot of sense, of course, in best ball. Wait, how necessary do you feel stacking is in regular redraft? I mean, is it necessary at all?
I think it matters. It's helpful. It's not as important as it is if you're playing in like a best ball tournament with almost 500,000 people in it. Then like every little detail matters. If you're going against 11 friends and half of them are drunk, I don't think that you really necessarily have to be stacking, getting every single optimal decision right.
So if I take DJ Moore here at 3.8,
I think you just have to.
Been
Like,
waiting for this.
I mean, come on.
Are you a big like Mayfield guy? Why the DJ?
Oh yeah, no, it's just because. All right, I'm gonna just do it.
I think you should all have to take a quarterback right now. That's, I feel like, because now
That's
I look
fair.
like a moron when we've got this live stream that I took Allen as my second pick.
Everyone watching the stream saw it as a timeout.
Bummer.
DJ Moore, I just think, has anything really changed with like his Stephon Diggs case? Like he's proven he can make plays down the field. He's proven he can be a dynamic, like short area weapon. He can be a touchdown scorer. I just feel like all the reasons we felt he was waiting to explode last year are still there. Last year was just about historically bad quarterback play. I mean, Baker Mayfield was horrible last year, but he was playing with one arm, which seems to be a very poor decision for a quarterback, even if it's your non-throwing arm. And it'll kind of like sadly be the best quarterback play he's probably ever had, DJ Moore. And it's a real narrow skill core. I just basically believe in the player. I think he's essentially Stephon Diggs 2.0, and I just really, really believe in the player.
Yeah, he's really good.
But no one else seems to think it was a good pick. So
No, I like it.
I think it's fine in
the
the third. I think in the second, I wouldn't have been on board.
yeah, no, that was it. Became clear that was untenable for a variety of reasons.
I think. Listen, it's one of those things where he has to score touchdowns at some point, right? I mean, I guess
Right?
he doesn't, but
Right?
it's one of those things like you feel like, all right, he's, he does have arguably the best quarterback he's ever had. I mean, we've said this about plenty of other players and it not pan out, but I'm rooting for you, Pat.
I mean, Sam Darnold was the best quarterback he ever had too. Didn't turn out very well. Resetting the third round, AJ Brown 3-1, Javonte Williams, Michael Pittman, who I would have taken over DJ Moore, I think, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, Keenan Allen, Kyle Pitts, DJ Moore, James Conner, Zeke Elliott, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton. I'm kind of a Mike Williams fader this year. Like, I don't know why. Like, I feel like he reverted to like his career norms in the second half last season. I think he's just maxed out as a player. I like Josh Palmer a lot as a second-year pro. Who wants to make like the bullish Mike Williams case, which it begins with the fact he's playing with one of the best football players on the planet, and Justin Herbert. Just what is the bullish Mike Williams case for 2022? Who wants to take that?
I mean, I think that I was going to just say, I mean, Allen's old. I mean, that's really the only other, Allen's old and gets hurt, but Williams gets hurt too. So I don't know. I think it's tough to make a full-on argument, but I don't hate him. I just don't know, I don't know if he's
I think so through 5 weeks last year, he was the wide receiver 2, I believe, in PPR.
Nuts.
He was absolutely going bonkers, and then he hurt his knee. Obviously, you have to kind of worry about the injury situation and stuff, but like if you're drafting for upside, to me, he's one of the highest upside receivers in the NFL. He's attached to Herbert. He's shown he can do it over, at least that short period of time where he's just absolutely going bonkers. And as Jen was saying, it's like maybe they're passing the torch this year to him being sort of the number one and having Keenan Allen sort of be the number 2 chains mover type guy. So I had him queued up. I really like Williams this year.
Williams, so you say is the highest upside. Williams is kind of, part of me just thinks he's maxed out, where he's maxed out of something really good, but that it's at a downfield specialist who's a really strong number 2 receiver, but gets kind of stretched thin when he's asked to be more than that. He's kind of, I swear to God, I've never seen someone lay out for catches more and like land on their side and knock the wind out of them.
Learn how to fall.
He's the worst faller in the entire league. Bias to me.
You go to a seminar this offseason to learn how to fall, I hope. Like, that is a big thing.
As much as I want to take Cam Akers here, by the way, I'm going to take Jalen Waddle and put my money where my mouth is and talk about Jalen Waddle.
Wait,
I'll just talk about Jalen Waddle. Yeah, I'll talk about Jalen Waddle versus Tyreek Hill real quick, where I got, for a segment, I was required to do bold predictions with a man you may have heard of named Matthew Berry. They had us doing bold predictions. I protested, like, I'm horrible at bold predictions. I don't like doing them. And then I said Jalen Waddle is going to outscore Tyreek Hill. And you can see that tonight on our ROTOWORLD Draft Day Marathon, ROTOWORLD Football Show podcast. This is a huge mouthful. I did not plug the talking to Matthew Berry tonight about why I'm taking Jalen Waddle over Tyreek Hill. And I just think we've seen Tyreek Hill in the kind of a pop a shot passing attack before with Alex Smith. And he was big play reliant, and like, he's still going to make big plays, but I feel like he might be more big play reliant again. And I think he's going to be more boom or bust. I think Tua just is limited to the underneath. We already know he has the underneath connection with Jalen Waddle, and Tua or Tyreek's going to still make so many big plays. But I think basically it just comes down to like touchdown luck. And I just think it's so close between the two of them that I feel like it's almost like a coin flip who will score the more points. And I'm comfortable with with Jalen Waddle.
I'm torn right here between two guys. I have one in probably every single like over 60 best ball that I've done, and I just can't quit him. But maybe he'll be there on the way back.
So Jen is Kupp and Michael Pittman, and then the auto draft Josh Allen that we're not going to talk
about. I mean, I've committed to 0 RB at this point by accident. I wanted Lenny, but at this
point, you took Allen Robinson. Someone sighed. Who wanted Allen Robinson?
I don't know. I think I sighed because I was deciding on what I wanted to do there.
Well, Hayden's making you feel less alone in the quarterback department.
I like that. I appreciate that, Hayden. Thanks for stepping up there and taking a quarterback early for me.
So yeah, Hayden, you've got 2,000-yard receiver Justin Jefferson, Leonard Fournette, Javonte Williams. Why are you comfortable going quarterback?
I don't really like the wide receivers here. They all seem a little bit suspect to me, and I'm not drafting any of these running backs. So it was basically between like George Kittle or Patrick Mahomes, and I would rather go for the stack here. And I'm going to take Juju next here, which seems a little bit early compared to where they have him ranked, but on Underdog this is the range he goes with. And I can see him getting 140 targets this year. Travis Kelce's 33, and he wasn't a full-time player in that preseason drive, which was interesting because they changed their entire scheme around like being more run-oriented. And that's actually, I think, good news for Juju because they might take Travis Kelce off the field a little bit more than we're used to, and there's not going to be a third wide receiver running in the routes. And they didn't treat Juju as just like a slot receiver, so I'm pretty bullish on Juju.
You know, Hayden, I have to tell you, I've been doing that same stack right there on Underdog, but for like the last couple of days, I've been getting the 1 for some reason. And in that Pomeranian yesterday, I had Mahomes Juju right there, and now on the 4-5 turn a bunch of times. So I like it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm curious what you think. Like Patrick Mahomes and Juju are at the turn, or you can go Lamar Jackson, Rashad Bateman. This is like at this 4-5 turn. Do you have like a preference, Lamar Bateman or Patrick Mahomes, Juju?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say strongly Mahomes, Juju, because I think even with the supporting cast change, Mahomes just has the highest floor of anyone at any position in fantasy football. Maybe the ceiling's a little lower without Tyreek Hill and with Travis Kelce getting up there too. And maybe they're in kind of like a transition period in their skill core, but like I see zero reason to believe that Patrick Mahomes is not still the best overall football player on the planet and has like just a shockingly high floor. And why would you not take the person who seems to be in line to get the most targets from said player? Where, you know, Lamar is coming off a shaky passing season. We know they want to recommit to the run. And Rashad Bateman, we think he's good, but we still haven't really seen it yet at the NFL level. Mahomes is just, why not take the guy with the highest floor who also isn't in the argument for having the highest ceiling? Is kind of how I look at it. Yeah. And now I'm up. And Cam Akers, I was going to maybe take him. Now he's gone. I'm going full. I'm not going 0 RB since I have Najee. I'm going hero RB. And I'm going to take Gabriel Davis as long as he's still out there. And I believe he is. Who's got a Gabriel Davis case to make, positive or negative? Who feels strongly about Gabriel Davis? Danny, what are your Gabriel Davis thoughts?
Love Gabe Dave. I'm a big Gabe Dave guy.
Dave.
I just think, honestly, if he's playing, he's going to like be a top 24 receiver. Like, that's just kind of my assumption. If he's in there in this offense, which is, of course, you know, pass heavy, generally speaking, up tempo, vertical offense or whatever, I think he's just going to have the opportunity to get a ton of targets opposite Stephon Diggs, and they're probably going to move Stephon Diggs around a bunch. But he's going to get those like high value explosive plays. He's shown ability in the red zone. I don't expect him to do what he did in the playoffs, of course, but I think he is, again, like if he's playing, like I think he's going to be a top 24 receiver.
I mean, he goes like in the 4th round, like 40th overall in these best ball leagues. And I think it's just, he's out there. The wide receiver depth's not as good. And even he doesn't even have to be very good to be like
exactly
inconsistent wide receiver 2-3. He just has to be out there. Like we know they're scoring touchdowns. So I think you have to be in on Gabe Davis.
The way I just look at it. So my canned line, the one, like my applause line on Gabriel Davis all summer has been, if I can overreact or underreact to someone catching 8 passes for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns in the divisional round, I'll normally choose to overreact. And like the bigger picture thing is just anytime they have featured Gabriel Davis, he's overachieved. So he forces his way onto the field as a 4th round rookie and immediately makes an impact. For whatever reason, last year they give Emmanuel Sanders a lot of run over him. They finally like admit that mistake. Start featuring Gabe Davis near the end of the season. He immediately starts performing again. We had the Athletics' Joe Buscaglia on our show. He said now, like when a play breaks down, like Josh Allen is freelancing, which he freelances a lot. He's an elite athlete with an elite arm. Like it seems to be Gabriel Davis that he's kind of mind melding with, not Stephon Diggs. And I mean, it just seems like, I was talking about this with Denny the other day. It's kind of weird sometimes when the whole industry is in on someone. We're all excited about one guy. But a lot of times it's just because we're right and its talent is self-evident, it's obvious, and it just seems like that moment for Gabriel Davis to me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that like the backyard style football is where Gabe Davis is kind of winning. That's kind of like a lot of his catches are like miraculous catches, dragging his toes on broken plays. Like to me, he's not the route runner. He's not like super explosive, but he's just contested catches and just finding the open spot. To me is kind of where he wins. And you basically can't have a better quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes at doing that than Josh Allen. So I think his fit matches up with the offensive fit too. So I think it's just time to go.
I wonder, I would have to go look at the numbers for this, but I wonder, I'm just picturing scramble drill stuff, like the scramble rules where if your quarterback breaks the pocket, you immediately go like deep or whatever. And I would guess his role in most of the scramble drills, since he's on the outside, is just go deep, right? Like instead of trying to come back to the quarterback or whatever, because I think probably if you're over the middle of the field, a lot of guys want to like drag across the field along like parallel to where the quarterback is going. His role, I'm guessing, would be to just go vertical. And that's why I think those plays could be like money this year. So that's just what I'm picturing too. But yeah, like as a rookie, he had like 8 touchdowns on, I don't even know how many catches, but it's just like that seemed unsustainable, but maybe that's just the style of player he is in this offense.
I think I'm going to take a group vote on my next pick. For some reason, I have a Miles Sanders addiction this year. I don't really know why. I think the real silly reason is I shouldn't even say this kind of thing out loud. I've always kind of liked him, and I know Mike Clay has always kind of liked him. I really respect Mike Clay, and Mike Clay is still real in on Miles Sanders this year. I just still think it's going to be, even though it's going to be more balanced offense, it's still going to be a run-first offense. Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott just don't profile as that guy. But should I take Miles Sanders or should I take Dalton Schultz here? Because the Cowboys, desperate for targets. I think tight end, I don't love like a lot. Already, again, past tight end 6, I don't love the options. With the 3 of you voting, we have 30 seconds left. Am I taking Dalton Schultz or am I taking Miles Sanders?
I mean, as someone that needs a running back, I would love for you to take Miles Sanders because I don't want him. So that's my vote. But I think that the actual football analyst in me would vote for Schultz.
I'm going Sanders.
I'm taking Schultz just because I'm on him, and I sort of feel like everyone hates Miles Sanders. And Hayden didn't even get Hayden. Who would you have voted for?
I would have went Schultz between the two. I don't see him like paying off this ADP, but it's hard to see him like not being a top 10 tight end just based off of target competition and kind of where he wins like as a check down artist. And I don't think the Cowboys defense is going to be as good. I'm not sure if he has the skills to crack that top 5, but I think he's like a pretty safe, probably mid to low end tight end 1.
That's the thing. I don't think Dalton Schultz has like the skills to make a tier jump, but I just think he's so safely like ensconced in that tight end 6 to 8 range where it can be
There's like, who else is going to go above him?
Exactly. Like target dot connecting is kind of dangerous too. Like, well, this team has to target this guy X amount of times, but the Cowboys just kind of have to target Dalton Schultz an enormous amount. And, they've always just loved the guy. The whole world loved Blake Jarwin. They were addicted to Dalton Schultz. Dak Prescott seems to love Dalton Schultz, and he just feels so safe in that tight end 6 to 8 range to me. I missed J.K. Dobbins going earlier, by the way. He's my ideal RB2 this year, even though the Ravens continue to be super weird about him.
Yeah, the vibes on him have not been great.
No.
It's like teasing that, like, we had the initial reports that he was not going to be out there, and then they like basically gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, like, go try, and then they pulled back on it. So I'm not sure. I don't love the vibes around it.
There's like a big disconnect there where like he's I'm good. Oh yeah, Jen's on the clock. Jen, who has four receivers and a quarterback who she voluntarily took in round 2.
I'm debating whether to reach for a running back I really want or take someone that's super gross. That's kind of where I am.
Reach. It's just a mock.
I went gross. And hoping that the guy that I want comes back here.
By the way, Jen, I'm going to reveal this actually isn't a mock. We're playing this league out.
That's fine. I mean, other than Allen, like, listen, Jacobs, I don't say I can't say I have a lot of him so far, but I feel like he's getting, really just bashed, and we're not really sure. And listen, their second preseason game was a good indicator. They sat him, and he didn't play as much. So I feel like maybe people are more down on Jacobs than they should be. I don't love the pick by any means. Like I said, I probably wouldn't have had to take him had I not had been autoed Allen. But at the same time, he is technically the starter, right? I mean, he's a starting runner back, and he's my RB1. So I've committed.
Till the stunning Brandon Bolden reveal in week 1.
Oh no! Listen, I'm all about. I like Zamir White as well, but we'll see what happens there. I feel like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So this is as Hayden or Danny, if they agreed with Jen, that the Josh Jacobs fading is kind of like reached absurd proportions, and that he still is probably a pretty good starting 2-down running back. Or do we say it's contract year, totally new brain trust, they're out on the player, he's injury prone? Has the fading gone too far?
I probably overreacted when I first saw him in the Hall of Fame game. Then they didn't play him in preseason week 1, so I had to walk it back. I still am a little nervous just because I think Zamir White can play a little bit. So I think I have Josh Jacobs like in the 80s, and he will fall that far on occasion. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Zamir White can play more than a little bit. I'm a Georgia fan, and I watched every single snap, so he can definitely play more than a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Hayden, you just took DeAndre Hopkins. Like a spiel, I've been on a kick with him lately. Like suspended 6 games, their buys in week 13. So off the jump, he's missing 50% of the fantasy regular season. Why do you still feel comfortable taking DeAndre Hopkins in the 7th round?
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm going to probably draft a couple more wide receivers in the next couple picks, and then I feel like I can get through those first 6 weeks, and then I think that DeAndre Hopkins is still just like a complete target dominator in ways that Marquise Brown just probably is not going to be, and everything matters for fantasy playoffs. So I'm still in the mindset of like aim for first place, because if DeAndre Hopkins is like a 2nd or 3rd round value, that's like kind of how you separate in like the finals.
The canned line I keep giving on that, and I give every year, is like, sure, he'll be a help in the fantasy playoffs, but for him to be a help in the fantasy playoffs, you have to make the fantasy playoffs. And are you hurting your odds of making the fantasy playoffs when you have a dead weight roster spot for 6 weeks, Hayden?
Yeah, I think 7th round, I was like between him or like, I'm not going to say the other names. I'll throw out Chris Olave or Almazard and all that stuff. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't trust those guys either. Like, are those guys helping me in the first 6 weeks? So I think at this point, this is like where there's a little bit of a tier break where I'm willing to roll the dice.
Daniel Kelly, you're at John Taylor, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Darren Waller, Marquise Brown, AJ Dillon, CEH. How do you feel about pairing Jonathan Taylor with kind of like the question mark RB2-3s of AJ Dillon and CEH?
I like the floor that AJ Dillon brings, just based on the fact that it sounds like he's going to get a near 50-50 split, or maybe it's 60-40 or whatever, but he's going to have the production and the opportunities on the ground. And then it sounds like they're really getting him going in the passing game too, which is kind of this X factor that you can't really discount. And then in addition to that, if Aaron Jones goes down, he's like a top 5 running back. So I really like drafting Dillon. Even, you draft him first floor, but then he also could be a league winner type, depending on kind of how things go. He was the number 3 ranked running back per PFF's grades last year. Like, he's legit good. And I think with the lack of, receiver talent and receiver depth there, they are almost going to be like forced to get these guys going in the passing game. So that's why I like Dillon. I think the CEH pick is sort of just rolling the dice on the idea that Pacheco isn't as good as everyone's making him out to be in the preseason. I think he's
just to cut you off. I was in Canton, Ohio this weekend, and his bust is already there. So.
I mean, I think to me, and I said this the other day on Jen on your show. It's like the Pacheco stuff is kind of like a good sign for Edwards-Helaire. I think that the other guys aren't pushing Pacheco really, and or CEH. It seems like the competition is solely for the number 2 job. Like, CEH is not in danger of losing his job, according to like the way I'm reading it. I could be wrong, of course, but it does feel like he's sort of just cemented his role and cemented himself as the number 1 there. And I do think he's like better than he was last year. He has the potential to be better than he was last year, just based on the fact that he was like, fluctuating weight. He apparently lost like 50 pounds, which is just kind of insane, or 30 pounds, whatever it was. I'm just kind of like rolling the dice on that he could be one of these bounce back guys, and obviously in this offense.
Danny, you just made what seems like kind of an obvious point that I've heard no one else make, and I have not thought about at all. That like the Pacheco hype, it is like, it means like, we're not talking about CEH. We're talking about who's getting CEH's change of pace touches.
Right.
And
like, I was worried that
why didn't you tell me this framing earlier?
Like, my worry initially was, Ronald Jones and McKinnon are going to just essentially wash out CEH and he'll be worthless, right? And this is just going to be like a 3-person backfield, 4-person backfield. Now it sounds like Pacheco, this like 7th round rookie who no one really had rated all that highly, I don't think, coming in. He's sort of been impressing mostly in the passing game, which of course you'd rather have CEH have a 3 down roll or whatever. But Pacheco, I don't think is like a great runner. I think he's a good pass catcher, pass blocker, and he'll probably be like in 3rd down and 2-minute drill style stuff. So that doesn't threaten Edwards-Helaire, like, hopefully on the goal line too. Like, that's the other big variable here, because he's never really gotten goal line looks apart from his first game in the NFL. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, that's the bull case for him. Of course, there's a lot of downside too, but that's just kind of how I look at it.
The entire quarantined nation watched CEH get stuffed 19 times at the goal line in his first NFL game. By the way, Tyler Lockett went 8-4. I think Tyler Lockett is one of the most insane ADPs of anyone out there this summer. Like, I again, sorry, you listening have already heard me say this. Like, people are drafting the Seahawks receivers as if the Seahawks are going to attempt 15 passes a game, and like there's no target. Like, Tyler Lockett is still a wide receiver 3. Maybe he's a low end wide receiver 3. I would have taken Tyler Lockett. Instead, Tyler Lockett went 1 pick before me, and I took Romanja Stevenson, even though Damian Harris is still on the board. Am I a prisoner of the moment?
I just got sniped. Danny.
Were you going to take Penny?
I was. Yeah, I was.
That was my homer pick. I got it out of the way.
All right, you know what? I'm going to lean into this because here I am.
There you go.
And I just got sniped.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually don't even like Knox, so that's even worse of a snipe.
We'll make a trade.
We'll make a trade in the mock.
Danny's Penny selection was also, in addition to a snipe and a homer pick, it was just a real politic pick, since today Kenneth Walker underwent surgery.
Yeah.
And Penny fell way. He should not be going in the 8th round.
I was kind of excited.
Penny, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was excited that he was still there. And then you took him.
I had Penny ranked above Walker already, just based on what you're hearing coming out of Seahawks training camp. Like, Penny is the clear-cut number 1, I guess. That's what Bob Condotta said, and he's always I think he's kind of on top of it there. But
we had Michael Sean Dugar on our podcast, and he said the same thing.
Yeah. So I think that's just what I've been hearing out of Seahawks camp, is like Penny's going to have the opportunity to have that first job. That's not to say that Walker isn't going to push him, and it's probably going to be a timeshare. But I mean, he was so freaking good last year down the stretch. And if he
was the
could
best
stay
running back
healthy
in the NFL in December.
in this range, I'm comfortable taking him there. Just because of that. And this is, to me, this pick it's a little strange that he's so far down the list on here, but I'm going for it.
Well, shoot, folks. Danny Kelly took the great dual threat hope, Trey Lance, and he was also my great quarterback hope. Now he's gone. And I'm just going to take Justin Fields in the 16th round now. There's no good quarterbacks left.
I went full Bills onslaught because, here I am. I took Cook.
Yeah, so Jen has Josh Allen,
I like that.
who she took intentionally in the second round.
Yep.
Dawson Knox and Jimmy James Cook.
Yeah, that was my Homer UGA pick. I always have to have at least one, so there he is.
Is anyone buying into the Zach Moss rebirth, or is this we're bored and it's August?
I am. They keep saying it like every single day.
They say it literally every day.
Yeah, it's literally a Isaiah McKenzie blurb and a Zach Moss blurb in every single daily report about the Bills. So I believe I'm not drafting Zach Moss, but I think that Zach Moss is threatening, I think in particular, Devin Singletary's role. Like I'm not going to draft a single share of Devin Singletary this year just because I can see him being like the 1st and 10 and we need an explosive carry. Give it to Devin Singletary, and then when they go to third downs, it's James Cook, and then once the goal line situation, I can see Zach Moss getting in there. So no Singletary for me.
I'm just trying to be a prisoner of the moment and just remembering the most recent report I read, and that's why I just took George Pickens in the 9th round. Is this?
Oh, I love it.
I almost took him where I took Cook. So
okay, I was gonna be like, is this absurdly early? Am I being a total?
I was
noob?
very close.
Speaking of, was his bus in Canton too yet?
Oh, I mean,
did it arrive?
It wasn't up there. It wasn't there because they're building a special wing, and it's $100 million project as part of the Greater Canton Hall of Fame Village project, and it wasn't finished yet, but it's on its way.
That sounds right.
On a serious note, I did move him ahead of Chase Claypool. I just think he's better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I'm just doing it. I'm treating George Pickens as if he was the 15th overall pick in the NFL draft because he would have been if we had clarity on whatever the off the field stuff was or his knee injury. And neither of those are problems right now. So I'm looking at him and I think that he could be the best wide receiver in this class. That's what was in the range of outcomes. And I'm just doing it. Like, I think he's going to be a 2 wide receiver set starter, potentially like even in week 1.
Well, who does he remind you of? I have the hardest time because he's not, I think stylistically body type, he's kind of AJ Greeny, but to me, he's more physical and, quote unquote, has that dog in him. So
they're both Georgia.
Trying to figure out like who he reminds me of. Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah. I think I wrote in like my profile, like he's the SEC version of like Devontae Parker, which I'm like putting as like a comp. Like Devontae Parker had like a special sauce to him, but like, I think George Pickens is like actually going to live up to like the expectations that we thought we could have had with Devontae Parker.
Yeah. The eye test, it just matches the barrage of every day he makes a ridiculous catch in camp. Like if you Google search for images of Pickens, there's like 12 different ones where he's just mossing.
I thought you were going to say of dog.
Well, just like, first of all, everyone saw him when he was getting drafted, like the weird thing. He was like staring at
I
the
love
TV
that.
like
I moved him up the ranks over that. Yeah.
Adjust. Yeah.
Adjustments were made.
So in addition to, of course, that, the draft night thing, plus the just the constant good news coming out of Pittsburgh. It's like, and then you watch him in the game. And I'm like, this guy, he looks like a veteran. He looks legit.
I mean,
he's
that
really
was
good.
Superstar footwork on that touchdown Saturday. Like,
yeah,
we were overreacting. Sometimes not just to one play, but to one part of one play. But there aren't many, even NFL receivers, that have the kind of footwork that George Pickens showed on that touchdown at the back end of the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like not even anyone I want. I'm on the clock.
Yeah, it's pretty gross now, all around.
I'm on the clock, and I'm just scared. Very, very, very scared.
I meant to mention, by the way, just to circle back to the question you asked me earlier, Pat, Drake London, I completely blanked. He's also going to go off.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I just completely overlooked him.
I can't buy it.
Really? Oh, you're not into it?
Well, I'm just not into Atlanta. Like they're the slowest team, right? Offensively, they they don't have a lot of plays, right? Or at least historically last year, whatever. But I don't know. I find it hard to buy into that offense in general. That's the same reason I'm not really buying into Pitts. Like, sure, whatever, generational talent, Lord and Savior Pitts, I get it. But as the third tight end off the board, like I can't do it. Like I just don't see it happening. I mean, obviously he's most likely going to score more than one touchdown this year, but I still don't. Where he's going at ADP, it's hard for me. And Drake London, kind of same thing. I mean, he's more affordable, but I just feel like unfortunately, bad spot, bad team. Just my
I
thoughts.
took the greatest player in NFL history in George Pickens. Then I took the second greatest player in NFL history, Tom Brady, in the 10th round.
That makes sense.
Does it? I mean, can Tom Brady, can this insane volume just keep up? Like, there's still 4 deep at receiver. I'm not a Leonard Fournette believer. Like, I feel like he's running on fumes, even though he's only 27 years old. Like, he's not efficient as a receiver. He's not efficient as a rusher. He's not a big play threat anymore. I just feel like they're going to remain so pass heavy.
I think if he doesn't turn back into some sort of robot or whatever, or his, non-human self, I think Brady's going to be,
I say Brady's dog levels have been down. Where he's taking a lot of time off from training camp. Like, he has world record dog levels, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm going to Bahamas for a few weeks during training camp.
I just took the second after George Pickens, the second most hyped receiver in
Tell us about it.
Camp. Why not? Here we are at the end. Everyone's pretty gross. I'm just banking on the upside, and I'm banking on the fact that there's nobody else to throw to. So
Jen pick Romeo Dobbs. And how do we pronounce that? I say Dobbs.
It's Dobbs.
Okay, I'm hearing other things.
I've been saying
he
Dukes,
told the media it's Dobbs.
Okay,
it's one of those things where like he was called Dubs for 4 years in college or whatever, and didn't tell anyone, and then he decided it's finally time for people to pronounce my name correctly. Yeah. Because I think the media thing at Nevada had it as Dubs, but he told people that's wrong.
Hayden, what is your feeling on the Packers receiver core? Can you make heads or tails of it? Is it to the point where Dobbs should be the first? Like, I guess Lazard's still going to go before him. I would frankly, at any price, if you were forced me to choose, I would take Dobbs over Allen Lazard, just because talk about a player I think has a hard ceiling, Allen Lazard.
Yeah, so I think whoever's in 2 wide receiver sets is the ones you want, which I think removes a lot of the slot receiver types, just because I think they're going to use the second running back. They use the fullback. They use some tight ends, just part of the offense. And none of them project as a true number 1 receiver in the NFL offense. So I ran the models. I looked at my spreadsheets, and I came to the conclusion, whoever the back-to-back MVP says is his number 1 is who I'm treating it as the number 1. So I'm all in on Allen Lazard.
Yeah, man, I've got a lot of Allen Lazard tweets I'm going to have to delete if Aaron Rodgers is right. If he was telling the truth about that, because I just feel like he's a player without a second gear. Like, in 513 yards his career high. It was an injury shortened season, but I just feel like he doesn't have a next year. But like you said, the MVP says he's his number 1, and I have 0 share, quite literally 0 shares.
I don't see him leaving the field because like his MO is that he's a willing blocker. He's physical, inside, outside versatility. So like we're going to be sorting by routes run. I feel very confident he's going to be the one with the most of them. Like maybe you can argue that Romeo Doubs by the second half of the season, he's a 2 wide receiver set starter and he has way more juice and he's just shredding. But I think in like the beginning parts of the season, I feel pretty comfortable, especially if Tunyon's not out there to start the year, that Allen Lazard, we're going to wake up. And he's like, 35 routes run, 7 targets, and a good touchdown. And it's like, okay, there you go.
Danny, you spoke poetry earlier by talking about the Chiefs backfield and what the Pacheco hype really meant. But I'm going to ignore it. I'm taking Pacheco.
No, I mean, he's still worth taking for sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank God.
He could be the passing down guy in like the 2-minute and the third downs and all that. So I think that could be useful. Clearly,
11th. There's 11th round. Hayden, Miss ADP specialist. Is the 11th round. What does that strike you as for Pacheco? Way too desperate, reading way too much into camp reports, or about where you should take a hype beast? The 11th round.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. I think he's like settling 12th, 13th round, but this party's just getting started, I'm afraid. And I think that Ronald Jones, eventually when he gets cut, that's going to be like more solidified. But I'm with you. I think they want CH to be a mini bell cow. I think they want Isaiah Pacheco to be the true number 2, kind of in the mentor role last year. And then I think they want Jerick McKinnon to be in this special teams role, because that's kind of where he shined. And that's the role that he played in before they went into the NFL playoffs when CH was all banged up. So I think that's my read on it. And then Rojo gets cut, and then Isaiah Pacheco is going like in the like Isaiah Spiller handcuff kind of territory.
Danny, do you think Rojo is going to get cut?
That's tough. That's what the beat writers are saying right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I've seen several
is.
different guys saying that. So it sounds like, and he doesn't have very much guaranteed money. So if you follow the money, that could be it too. I mean,
I believe he's getting cut is my guess. I mean, I don't know how many different times. It's crazy he even got like such a good opportunity this time. Just he's never once taken the bull by the horns.
Wouldn't this be the greatest when he gets cut and then goes to the Rams and scores 12 touchdowns? You know?
Oh no.
Yeah. Boy, I've been bullied out of being a Cam Akers fan, by the way. So the teams where I do have Cam Akers from earlier this summer, there'll be nothing but tears when Ronald Jones is the one actually scoring the touchdowns.
Can we play a game here? Because you had talked about, so we talked about Zach Moss. There has been some speculation that Damian Harris will get traded. What teams need running backs, if any?
I feel like I've already seen Damian Harris Rams rumors, but like
I mean, I could see that. Yeah,
I kind of can't see that. Let me pull up just the list of teams and like.
I mean, the Ravens, maybe.
The Ravens definitely, with their weird caginess all summer. And Gus Edwards doesn't seem like he's going to be ready for week 1.
Right.
Even, I mean, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs could be one.
That would ruin my CEH argument, but yeah.
I could see something crazy. Like sometimes, there's surprising teams. Like maybe the Eagles want a true early down back. Maybe the Detroit Lions want a true early down back. I mean, these are unlikely. The Falcons definitely, but the Falcons,
trade for one.
In the throes of a top to bottom like gut job, will they really trade?
Commanders.
The Saints have need a real early down complement to pair with Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara seems miscast.
Yeah,
like this 25 touch role.
I remember playing this game during the NFL draft, and it was hard even before we had the rookies. You know, I was like, maybe the Texans, but now Dameon Pierce is in the Hall of Fame, so we could scratch them off. But yeah, I played this game, and I reached the same conclusion, where it's like, I don't think he's getting traded because nobody yet needs him, and I think the Patriots could use him.
Wait for an injury. That's probably what. Yeah, I mean that's like the quarterback market. It's like
the Patriots are going to trade a 4th round pick to themselves for Damian Harris, and it'll somehow be legal. Like it's some loophole Bill Belichick has discovered where he's allowed to trade Damian Harris to himself for like a supplemental 4th round pick.
No one read the CBA except for Bill.
Yeah, John Harbaugh like violently protests the league office. There's nothing we can do about it. After this guy times out, I'm going to take
Is that automatic?
Yeah, could the chat hear this, or is this
the
just
chat can't hear that? There's after they timed out, a pre-recorded, "Oh, come on, dude," played in all of our ears, and it was really weird. No offense to Sleeper. I'm taking Josh Palmer because for me, my spiel on the Chargers is like they're kind of in the situation the Chiefs were last year, where like the Chargers have a good skill core, but I feel like they badly needed a proven third weapon. Like, I think they needed to sign someone, maybe use some early draft capital on like a third weapon, but they didn't do it. Those targets have to go somewhere. Josh Palmer was very, very good down the stretch last season. Had, I think, 3 touchdowns his final 5 games. Had a couple like big time target games. We talked about Keenan Allen aging. I'm not a Mike Williams believer, and I've like done a lot of dot connecting with Josh Palmer this summer, just as someone who makes sense to see like a big target sleep.
Yeah, because he's sort of the handcuff for both Keenan and Mike.
Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of him as well.
By the way, I would be remiss not to talk about our draft guide. The NBC Sports Edge Fantasy Football Draft Guide is now available. Prep for your draft with the latest player rankings, projections, and more. We have you covered for all league formats and draft strategies. It's powered by this place you've heard of called ROTOWORLD.
God damn it.
The premier source for player news and fantasy information for a limited time. use promo code DRAFT1 to get access for just $1 to the ROTOWORLD Draft Guide. NBCSportsEdge.com/draft guide, promo code DRAFT1. Get our guide for $1.
I'm
And
frozen again.
Our guide was telling Jen that she really wanted Isaiah McKenzie, and then Danny took her.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was looking at the guide and.
Did I
Sorry.
snipe you too, Hayden? You got you got
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of receivers, I guess. But
I'm taking another one.
nice.
Oh,
Devontae.
Hayden, okay, explain yourself. You're taking a receiver in a Matt Patricia, Joe Judge led offense. Round 12, Devontae Parker pick.
What could go wrong?
Oh, you were a spreadsheet guy.
What could go wrong? My case is that I think they're gonna try to let Mac Jones pass the ball more because I quite frankly think he earned that trust last year. And to me, he's the every down receiver. Jacoby Myers, a slot only player. Kendrick Bourne's ever been an every down receiver. Tyquan Thornton maybe can do it, probably not as a rookie. Nelson Aguilar, not that type. So I think Devontae Parker is going to lead this team in routes. And I think Mac Jones is better than most people think. I see him as on the path to being Phillip Rivers. Like he's got like that intensity and kind of like the weird arm angles, all that stuff. I think that's kind of where Mac Jones is going to end up.
Tubular body
Yes.
types.
18 kids.
He definitely is going to have like 12 kids.
I've never heard that take. I kind of like that. Mac Jones is like the heir apparent to Phillip Rivers.
It's nice because like nobody freaks out, but that's a great quarterback career. But if I say it, no one's like, oh my God, we're talking about a Hall of Famer. It's like right in the fringe where we'd be like, this is the bold case. And I actually think it's somewhat realistic and people don't want to knock me out.
The best part is apparently because Rivers is known for like trash talking and everything. Apparently he never swears, which it's just like hard to picture that. God darn it.
Yeah.
He's just like screaming at Jay Cutler or whatever.
Colin, I'm trying to think. I can't remember any good old timey slang. You vagabond ruffian.
That's the new promo code for your draft guide.
Promo code.
Good luck spelling it.
Vagabond ruffian for $1 draft guide access, folks.
That would be a good bit is make all the promo codes like insanely hard to spell. You get no discount.
Or we do Mac Jones 18 for the number of kids he's going to have, according to you guys.
Is anybody like having a worse preseason than Kenny Golladay?
No.
Well, other than Traylon Burks.
No.
It's rough, man.
RotoPat, you had the beat report. I think it was Pat Leonard.
Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News. That is correct, folks.
Openly was just like trashing him. Like was just saying like he's not trying enough. I was like, damn, no dog in him. It sounds like I gotta move Kadarius Toney up.
It's the worst of both worlds where there's basically he was just basically coming out and saying that no one's happy with his effort in camp and kind of alluding to just like his legs might be gone. He seems like maybe the latest in a long line of like big bodied receivers that suffer a lot of lower body injuries, hip too for Kenny Golladay, and entered the league old, and it's just aging very poorly. Seems like, and it's in a situation where he's never been happy, like clearly just a money grab, which you got to do in the NFL. Like you got to, it's the hard knock game. You got to take your money when you can get it, but doesn't seem happy about where he took it. And just a toxic situation with Kenny Golladay.
Did you guys see the video? I think it was yesterday of Kenny Golladay in practice doing drills. And if you haven't seen this, you have to go find this.
Oh my God.
He catches the ball and then you throw it back to your coach and then you run the rest of your route. It's like some little drill. It makes no sense. But he catches it and when he throws it to his coach, he throws it like nowhere near the coach. And then he runs his route and he turns around and is waiting for the coach to pick the ball up off the ground and then like walks away. It was like one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. But you have to go find it.
I didn't know if you were going to say he threw it nowhere near him or like rocketed it at him or something.
It at him. Yeah.
He basically like rolled the ball to the coach. It was really bad.
Very interesting. Denny Carter and I have been talking about, we've been getting addicted to taking people that beat writers talked up on our show. One of them was Kendrick Bourne, who Tom Curran unveiled his Kendrick Bourne is the Deebo Samuel for the Patriots take before he came on our show. Then we were going to grill him on it. And before we could even grill him on it, he just brought it back out and said, like it's happening. And so now I'm
Can you guys explain to me? Cause I haven't read up on it enough yet, but like what is the Patriots offense? Like, what do they do? Why are they doing this? What are they doing? Why are they switching their offense all of a sudden from like something they've been doing for 20 years?
I can't. Tom Curran said they have decided that the McDaniel system was just too complicated. Like, not nearly enough people fit it. You know, they're drafting people and they're not fitting the offense, and that they basically had to reduce and simplify the offense. So they had just a greater level of fit with like players around the league, and
Like
they basically thought the available player pool for their offense had gotten too small. Is the way Tom Curran.
That actually kind of makes some sense. I
Yeah,
can
it
see that.
does.
Like they're notoriously difficult for receivers to like go in there and learn all the option routes. And
I mean, like all pro type players would come in and like Chad Ochocinco just like
What are
couldn't
they
even like catch a
doing?
pass like in the Patriots offense, you know.
This is why I'm all in on Tyquan Thornton this year.
He is fast. They have told me.
He's more of a dynasty pick, but
Rojo auto pick. I mean, I kind of like have to take a running back, but these players are all bad. Anyone like a running? Someone tell me which running back to take.
I mean,
Actually,
you could go one of the 49ers backups, TDP or Sermon.
Samir White's there.
For some reason, I'm going Hunter Henry, even though I used an early pick on.
You keep asking us questions, then ignoring us.
That's what I always
Come on,
do.
man.
That's what I do in real life. That's what I do in fantasy.
That's my dad every single Sunday morning calling me. And I'm like, yeah, here's my column. I only spent 44,000 hours on it. And he's like, yeah, no.
I'm not going to do that.
It's like I'm getting Gus Edwards in there.
You make good points, but I'm not doing that.
You make good points, and not only am I not listening to you, I'm just going to a totally different position and like a player I haven't mentioned one time and drafting them.
There goes Amir. Please just
near the
let your
end.
knees.
We're about to
live.
finish round 14. Teams are starting to take shape. Danny, your pick is the farthest away besides. How do you feel about your team? What strategy did you try to pursue? How do you feel you executed?
I went receiver early and then very late. So I skipped out on the middle rounds receivers and went running backs instead. I kind of like that. I like that I got Lance where I got him in the 9th round.
That was a great pick.
I considered taking him the round before, and then I saw he was like so low on this like ranking on Sleeper that like maybe he'll just slip by everybody's attention. Overall, like my I like my team. I think I need a few guys like in my later round receivers to like actually pop, like Jacoby Myers, Isaiah McKenzie, to like actually be legit. But I think it's a pretty solid team.
Jen, you just took Hayden Hurst. As I was to say, hopefully not your tight end one.
No, I have Dawson Knox, who I don't necessarily love, so I just wanted to grab.
Then why didn't you let Hayden draft him? Hayden was very upset.
I'll send a 2023
All right.
fourth.
No, yeah, I mean he's fine, but I just figured since we're drafting, 16 rounds without defense or kicker, that I'll just grab a second guy, and I can always send Hurst to the hypothetical waiver wire if this was a real thing.
Danny just took Tyquan Thornton, who I do love.
Jen, I already took freaking Myers, but whatever.
It's the Patriots. We all have a Patriots receiver. I'm sure that's a great sign.
I do not. No, I do not.
I have born Hayden for some reason as Devontae Parker. I understand the Devontae Parker pick. Danny Kelly is Tyquan Thornton. But Jen, you just picked. You've only got one pick left.
Yeah.
What vision besides early anchor QB were you trying to pursue? And how do you think your draft has turned out?
My draft is all right. I mean, unfortunately, the Allen pick did throw a wrench into things, and it kind of forced me to go with the zero RB-ish approach. I can't say I'm thrilled with Josh Jacobs as my RB1. I would never set out to do that, but I think I'm very happy with my wide receiver core. I can't really complain about Kupp, Pittman, Robinson, and Cooks in a PPR league, especially. I think that they're all up solid there. I think, I need some of this running back action to hit. I like, Nyheim Hines is one of those guys that is not sexy in any way, but in a PPR format, I think he's going to be just fine where he is. So, and I like Hamler a lot in that Denver offense. If something were to happen to Sutton or Judy, which has happened in the past for both of them, I like him there. And then, Zay Jones, I don't know. It's one of those things. Someone's got to catch the ball in Jacksonville. They do have Kirk and they paid him a lot of money, but, So yeah, overall, I'm pleased. I don't hate it. I think considering what I was dealt with my thing freezing, I think I made the best of it, and I think I'm competitive.
I'm looking at running backs, and there's just not. I only have 3 running backs. One of whom is Isaiah Pacheco. No, I have 4 running backs. Okay, I'm not taking another running back. I'm just not doing that. I have a child smashing on my door. Hold on, I'm going to take Will Fuller, and then I'm going to mute.
Are you at Mar-a-Lago? Is that the
yeah. Beds.
I guess I should see how many running backs.
Did Pat go? Did he have to leave?
I think he just muted. He said, and then he had to deal with his child. So
that's fair.
We can, I guess, just chat about what we have going on.
I want to know what you guys feel about the San Francisco backfield. Like, what do we do with that?
That's always the question, isn't it?
I mean, I guess obviously Elijah Mitchell's the starter, but are you drafting Trey Sermon based on preseason week 1, or is that just a red herring? Are we still with TDP?
I haven't been a TDP guy personally. I mean, at one point he was going like 140th overall. That's kind of cooled down, and now it's like 170s.
Yeah.
I didn't really learn anything from preseason week 1 other than Sermon's ahead of TDP because Jeff Wilson didn't play. So I think next week will be when we get some of the answers to the test. But I can see Jeff Wilson being the RB2. That's what like camp reports were saying.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, but
I have drafted my share of Wilson though in best ball just in case he does have a couple spike weeks.
Yeah, it's probably smart. I've been drafting Trey Sermon because he was going undrafted a lot of times on best ball, and
yeah, I think there's a lot of PTSD out there from last year.
Yeah. And I was a believer in Trey Sermon's the talent, which I was clearly wrong on, but I'm leaving the light on.
I don't know. I don't know if you were wrong. It's Shanahan. It's like the whims of Shanahan, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. He was a little slower than I would like to see, not gonna lie, but he has lost a little weight, gotten better shape, running with a little better vision per sources. So
that's good.
We'll see.
Also, the Washington backfield. What the hell do we do with Antonio Gibson?
I think I'm in the 111th overall.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm interested to see where his ADP lands by the time like redraft season actually comes around. It's insane.
I think in these default rankings, he's like at 44th overall still. So he's like the cover of the do not draft list right now because in a lot of the more casual formats, he will still be ranked very high.
Yeah, he went in the 5th in this one.
So yeah, my daughter was crying hysterically that I drafted Will Fuller. Doesn't even have a team. He caught like 5 total passes last year.
Where's he gonna end up?
Probably the Packers. They've been rumored for like 3 years. Just get it over with. Definitely not the Packers because Rodgers isn't going to do like late camp chemistry with someone.
I think it depends on whatever wide receiver, whatever team wide receiver, like a big wide receiver goes down, in the next couple of weeks.
We had Yahoo's Charles Robinson on our podcast today, and we asked him about Will Fuller, and they were basically like, no team wants him because he's been suspended, he's injury prone, he's unreliable, and
other than that, though,
other than that, you still have the chance. But it sounds like nobody wants him.
Right.
Dang.
And I think that Aaron Wilson, he had a tweet. It was like the first tweet in like 4 months. And it was like, Will Fuller wants to play, but we'll see him in a couple of weeks. I was like, that doesn't sound good. Like, I don't know. It seemed forced.
Super bizarre. I mean, obviously last year, the situation where he hurt his finger and then just didn't play anymore. I'd never heard like what actually happened there. Maybe it was
They said like his finger just literally got like smashed.
Squished?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like as bad as you would think.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
By the way, I forgot to mention earlier, we are giving away ROTOWORLD t-shirts. Go check out our social media accounts at NBCS Edge FB. We're giving away ROTOWORLD shirts because you may have heard ROTOWORLD is back. The shirts are really awesome. We wore them in our infamous flag football loss.
Can I get a shirt, RotoPat?
Yeah, you actually can. Hit me up. I'll send you one.
Can I have one? I'll take one. Yeah.
Danny, Jen, everyone gets a shirt.
I would love a shirt.
I'm printing. They're making me print them in my basement, actually. And,
that's why your daughter was crying. She's
tired
from printing the shirt.
Fumes are kind of actually overpowering in our house.
There is nobody left.
No, there's not.
16 rounds.
Ooh, that is gross.
Man,
I love Chris Evans. Love the Chris Evans pick, Hayden.
I was just looking for him, and he wasn't there because you already took him.
He had
So
like a
much
70-yard
juice, man.
touchdown that got called back.
Oh yeah.
Or I guess I don't know if he scored, but
Made a really intense noise when we finished our draft.
yeah, that was.
It was a little, yeah.
Well, the draft is over. I asked Danny and Jen how they felt about their teams. Hayden, how do you feel about your team?
Well, I did the strategy I usually do, which is 2 early-ish running backs. I went Fournette and Javonte, and then I do the thing where I pretend that they stay healthy all season and don't draft a third running back until way later. And then those running backs were Alexander Mattison, Zamir White, Chris Evans, Josh Kelly, which are just good offenses, and they just need an injury to break their way to have a chance. So that's kind of the strategy I typically do. And then in between all that, it's just a bunch of receivers. So I have like 7 goodish receivers, and then I just need those 2 running backs to stay healthy.
Which they always do, right?
Yeah, especially Leonard Fournette, of course.
Running backs always, yeah, exactly. And Leonard Fournette, a lot of that frame is not being weighed down whatsoever. I hear that's really good for your joints.
Padding.
As a running
It's
back.
extra
Yeah, good point. Well, man, we've completed yet another draft of our ROTOWORLD Draft Day Marathon. We've got a best ball draft up on the NFL on NBC YouTube page. We have a non-PPR draft. We have a half PPR draft. We have a Superflex. We've done so many drafts. We have a podcast with Matthew Berry. We have Matthew Berry, the ROTOWORLD Draft Guide show coming up. We have just an abundance of content. We're all very tired, too. Been just pumping out content. I mean, content. This content does not pump itself out. The ones out there, there's a human.
Sounded graphic. Yeah.
There's a human behind the content. We've been pumping it out, and we hope you all love it. And any final thoughts from Hayden, Danny, and Jen? We're so thankful for you joining. I mean, it's a super busy time of year, so we really appreciate you guys taking the time. And any final thoughts?
Just excited for the ROTOWORLD brand to be back. It's exciting.
It's back, folks. It never went away in my mind. I'll say that.
I pretty much always kept calling you guys.
The redirect also never went away. As many
that's
people
nice.
noticed.
And I did only type in ROTOWORLD, and I made them force the redirect.
Yeah, the redirect was getting a workout. Let's put it that way. Jen, what kind of content do you have out there right now? What have you got going on at 4for4?
Oh boy, I got a lot of stuff. I'm doing. Let's see. Right now, I'm doing recap of each preseason week. So no one wants to watch the games, right? So I recap every game, kind of fantasy relevant facts you need to know. I also do a ADP risers and fallers, courtesy of our Underdog app tool at 4for4. So I do that every week of the preseason. What do I have going on? I'm in the middle of writing an article about guys with easy early season schedules. Team App, the most accurate podcast every Monday night. Yeah, that's about it. Content.
Not much content there.
None.
Over Hayden. I mean, I feel like you're a content master. What have you got going on over at Underdog?
Just best ball. So rankings. We have a podcast on YouTube primarily, Underdog Football Show, and you can follow me on
Never
Twitter
heard of it or the hosts.
Yeah, at Matthew Berry TMR on Twitter.
Thank you very much for that. Danny, you're one of the most versatile people in the entire industry. What do you have going over at The Ringer?
We got the Ringer Fantasy Football Show 3 times a week, and I think that's going to 4 times a week once the season starts. And then check out the Ringer Fantasy Draft Guide / Draft Rankings. Yeah, that's about it. And then I'm doing like a fantasy column every week, so that's going to be something to look forward to too.
Well, 3 of the smartest, most prolific people in the industry. Thank you so much for joining us. Jen Eakins at the Monday Mommy on Twitter. Danny Kelly at Danny B. Kelly on Twitter. Hayden at Hayden Winks on Twitter, who now I notice you're only going by Winks on Twitter. I like the rebrand.
I nobody calls me Winks. It's like the most unique last name, and everyone calls me Hayden. Enough of Hayden.
I like the rebrand. I liked all your drafts, actually. We didn't have like any bad, even with the Josh Allen auto pick that we all had.
I pivoted. I tried. Yeah. I adjusted.
So really, really good stuff. Really, really great analysts. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
That was Jen, Danny, and Hayden. I am Pat. I'm going to be joined by a few other like Irish people. Another Pat Carrain, Denny Carter, Lawrence Jackson, Kyle Dvorchak. Yeah, it's been a day. You may have heard me pleading with Danny Jen and Hayden, there's faces behind the content. People don't know this. We've been pumping out content all day, all week, all month, all of our lives. Just nothing but content. And now we're going to do some takeaways from our lives of content. This first up, how are you doing? All four of you answer at once.
Great.
I didn't know.
Blah, blah,
I was
blah,
hoping
blah,
two
blah.
other people would join in that bit so we actually could get all four people at once. I didn't know we were not taking a little break between. So if I was on my phone, it's not because I'm unprofessional. That's very
Are you drafting right now, Kyle?
It's called being a Zoomer.
There's MLB DFS locks in 45 minutes.
Oh
or
my
That's right,
God.
Kyle.
We
That's what we're
need to
doing.
team.
We're stacking,
want-
ra-
We're
stacking Rangers.
Rangers are like chalk tonight. I'm not stacking Rangers.
We're
I did
stacking
squeeze that
guys
best ball
from the
draft
team
before
that
this
just
started.
fired their GM today. The New York,
Which one?
or the Texas Rangers fired.
Is
their
that a
GM.
good thing, or like are they going to rally behind the next
No.
G? Okay, got it.
Not
Got
at
it.
all.
Yeah, it was a good day. I see Lauren's change. I kept steady with my bit of dressing like I'm in the 90s because we did a standard draft. And I was like, well, when was the last time they did a standard draft? The 90s. So I've got the overalls on and like a pastel colored shirt. I'm the only one who did that bit right for the show.
Let me tell you, those overalls, none of y'all don't notice, but them overalls that Kyle rocking right now, them classic right there. also, Ray Summerlin know this as well. Them some classic overalls.
Let's just call them revealing. You only see me from waist up right now. There's a reason, in fact, for that.
Let's see. Pat and I wore suits today, and you guys
saw
dressed
it.
like
You
it was
guys look good.
1993.
I saw y'all looking like lawyers out there.
Yeah.
Suited and goated, I said.
Yep.
Right? That's what the kids say.
Yeah, my kids were asking me, why are you dressed like we're going to church, Dad?
Why are you dressed
Wait, you,
like you just executed 1,000 high frequency stock trades and made $183 because you
Here's
did
the
it
thing, though.
like a
Was y'all
fraction of a
wearing
second faster than someone else?
Was y'all wearing the whole suits, or did y'all have on basketball shorts on the bottom with some sandals?
I had some shorts and some sandals, to be
There you go.
honest. Yeah, and it looked very weird, and that felt weird.
I wasn't wearing suit pants, but I was wearing pants. I was wearing jeans from you may have heard of it, a place called The Gap.
Oh,
And,
top notch right there, baby.
I
This
can
guy knows what I'm
afford-
talking about.
Can afford to shop at The Gap, not to brag. I'm wearing Gap jeans with my suit jacket, and but it was far too hot. We took off our jackets. We're here to recap the day. We've all been drafting. We all think we won our mock drafts. This is who. When I say the term league-winning player this summer, who comes to mind? We didn't really prep for any of this, so you're all going to be on the spot. Pat Crane, who is the league winner in 2022?
Well, as I was looking at these default rankings in the Sleeper app, and you kind of got to scroll down some. I think this is one of the things to keep in mind with home leagues. The guys who have been rocketing up draft boards in best ball, maybe you're getting them 2-3 rounds later. If you can get Gabe Davis in like the 6th, 7th round, where he might be in some of these default rankings and whatever app you're drafting on, that's a league winner.
It's what I took Gabe Davis in, I believe, the 6th round.
I got Gabe Davis in my draft too.
In the sleeper 6th round. So that's how I won the league. And that's why sleeper said we're not even allowed to play out the league, because I already had won it by taking Gabe Davis in the 6th round. Lawrence, when I say league winning player in 2022, who's the first guy that comes into your mind?
So would you consider a player, a running back who get picked in the 3rd or 4th round and finishes as a top 10 running back? Is that a league winner right there?
Are you going to tell me Ezekiel Elliott and make us all cry?
No.
Negative. Cam Akers.
Okay,
with
I'm
the
actually
clap.
very excited about
With
that
the
one.
clap. Cam Akers with the clap again. Cam Akers, baby.
Like, why are we, the Akers stuff is, I mean, he was bad at the playoffs. But again, they've been out on Darrell Henderson, I feel like, for 2 years. Like,
Yeah. No, this Darrell Henderson stuff doesn't make any sense to me. When Akers went down last year, the first thing Sean McVay said is, I don't know about this Henderson guy. Like he doesn't seem.
Then
to
they
stay
traded
healthy.
for Sony Michel.
We're definitely not going with him.
And Sony Michel ended up being the team's leading rusher. Now,
Right.
Henderson performed well through his first 10 games. He was RB13 at the time. However, he went down Sony Michel came in, and he pretty much provided the same production and value starting the second half of the season. Sean McVay once said, I have 2 starting running backs in Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson. And he proceeded not to play Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
So I'm rocking with Cam Akers. When they both got the little soft tissue injuries right now, hey, we rather have that right now than later. And they already said Cam Akers is not serious. They ain't say nothing about Darrell Henderson yet. They didn't say nothing about him. But we gonna see. Until I hear something, that's just really concrete, I'm riding with Cam Akers till the wheels fall off. I don't even want to say wheels fall off.
Yeah, we don't want to say wheels fall off.
I don't even want to say that
Back
term
from a
right
torn
now.
Achilles.
I take that back, Cam.
I'm riding with Cam Akers until last September, in fact.
It's too soon. It was actually last July. Come on.
It was
man.
July, yeah.
It was July, yeah.
I like Akers. I mean, that Rams offense should be good for whoever is the workhorse, and I think he will be. To have expected him to be his normal self after coming back so soon from an Achilles last year, I think it's a little absurd. I felt like my expectations were probably way too high for Cam Akers coming back at the end of the season and into the postseason. So
it's because the Ramses were way too high.
I think so.
With one functional leg, 67 carries in the playoffs, and he didn't perform well. And it's like, just really, I agree with Lauren. Cam Akers has league-winning potential because the range of outcomes is just so wide, and his ADP situation has become so muddled because we remember the quotes from the Rams coaching staff last offseason before he got hurt, where they were talking about him as like a special player, basically. They're talking about him as like a 3-down player. Sean McVay was talking about the fact that he could do anything on the football field, but it just seems like they wanted that player to show up in the playoffs, which was very naive for someone 6 months off a torn Achilles. And it seems like the Rams were just kind of spooked by what they saw, because when you get in that 2 running back starter talk, what you're really saying, of course, is, neither one of these guys have like seized the job this summer. And so I was a huge Cam Akers fan earlier this summer because the way I looked at it, he was a guy the staff loved. He was a player I loved. Like, the big hurdle when you come back from Achilles or ACL is you got to regain trust in your leg. I'm like, he got to regain trust in his leg in the playoffs. Even though he didn't perform well, he knew that physically he was ready, but it just seems like that's not the way the Rams are taking it. And
what if the Rams, let's say the Rams missed the playoffs last year, and we got word that Cam Akers would have returned for the playoffs had they made it, and he's running and cutting since last December or whatever, and now training camp is like, he looks back. Where would he be going? Like, how much of a discount are we getting because we saw him look bad in the playoffs? Where do you think he would land if we never saw him?
Second round.
Second round for sure. I think the discount train might be more about the comments that McVay had, because I felt like he was starting to gain momentum. I feel like the market really, really reacted to those McVay comments.
Do you think he'd be going ahead of like Javonte Williams? I think he.
Eventually, that's where I envisioned him, like in the rankings and ADP, and then I don't know. I guess it seemed like that never happened. Like, that never materialized. I guess like you said, because he was bad in the playoffs.
I think he'd be on like the 2-3 turn. I think
that's me.
Yeah. And then also people will forget, like, all 3 of these running backs got run in the playoffs. Obviously, Cam Akers was the lead back, but Sony Michel, he was bad in the playoffs. He averaged 2 yards a carry. Darrell Henderson, he averaged 2 yards. So people forget that. And they didn't have any torn Achilles, so that's
what is Sony Michel's excuse? Come on.
Yeah, like if he
Sony Michel, he has a bone-on-bone condition in his knee.
if Cam Akers is on par with those freshly baked Achilles that those other 2 guys got, then it's all right. As long as he didn't, nothing like, he didn't injure anything else. He looked bad and he acknowledged that, but he didn't re-injure anything else. Now he's further removed from that. So I guess none of us truly know but Sean McVay. McVay is gonna play with us and play with the media all day. So at some point, week 1 will be here, and somebody gonna go out there and line up at tailback first. somebody gonna get those touches first, and I'm gonna put my money that it's gonna be Cam Akers getting a hefty share of that workload.
I think Lawrence just broke it down correctly. And when there's an information vacuum, there's upside. There's also downside, but they've created more upside than might have otherwise been there, because I think by further depressing his ADP. And those comments could have just meant literally nothing. Like he could have been like bored in like one press scrum. Like, yeah, we got 2 starting running backs, but I don't know. I don't care. Like, he like looks at his watch. He's like, when is the press availability over? We're just obsessed with it the rest. Yeah, we're just obsessed with it the rest of the summer. And then, like Lawrence said, he comes out and gets 22 touches in week 1. Man, where there's an information vacuum, there is opportunity.
Yes.
Kyle, who's the league-winning player to you? Kyle Dvorchak, the Zoomer.
Sky Moore. I will choose, unsurprisingly, a young player, but a Chiefs player too, which I feel like I would be down for pretty much any Chiefs player, because it's the information vacuum thing. I have no clue how the receiving room is going to play out there. If you told me Juju, who's looked washed for like 3 years now, was still washed, I totally believe it. If you told me he was playing hurt plenty of games and with Ben Roethlisberger, and now he gets Patrick Mahomes and balls out, totally in for that as well. I take Sky Moore because I think I am most confident that he is the most talented and has the most diverse skill set if he achieves, what I kind of think his college profile says he can. But honestly, I'd even be fine with like MVS or Clyde, like any of the guys on this team that aren't like Mahomes or Kelsey, which I think are priced in. They could still win your league. I think it's just more priced in. For me, it's any of the receivers. Sky is my personal choice, but I'd be down for pretty much any of them.
Denny, who comes to mind for you when I say league winner?
I'm going to repeat what I said on the 9:00 a.m. Superflex draft, and I want to remind everyone that it was a Superflex draft. That's why my team looks like it does. I just want to remind everybody on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of negative comments for drafting two quarterbacks in a best ball draft.
In a best ball. Yeah, I was just told I took Trey Lance in the 2nd round of a Superflex. I was told that would have been a bad pick in the 12th round.
Well, to be fair, it was Jimmy _Garoppolo, like 1897 that actually.
I guess that was a bad pick. So, but my guy is Romanja Stevenson. According to his latest ADP data, he's RB 36. He's going 93 overall in redraft. I mean, I just think the Belichick blessing that he delivered on Tuesday, which is that Stevenson has improved as both a pass catcher and a pass protector. I think that means a lot. And this shift to a new offense that won't have as much sort of boring, no frills, straight ahead running, the stuff that Damian Harris excels with, and maybe Stevenson doesn't quite fit that mold. But Stevenson is a big body back who's a good / excellent pass catcher. We have to see if he gets more than 18 targets this year. He has the potential to take over something akin to a three down role in the New England backfield. Harris does not. So as we said, I think we said at the Fantasy Expo in Canton over the weekend, I think most of us agreed, and I know Pat Crane said he's taking Stevenson over Harris. I think that's the right call. And for me, the way I build my teams, Stevenson is a guy I'm okay reaching for, like just to make sure I roster him this year.
I think the upside, if you're envisioning like, okay, it's the Patriots, it's a committee. Am I really getting enough upside from a guy like Stevenson? Imagine if LeGarrette Blount caught passes. Like that's kind of
that's literally Leonard Fournette. That's just Leonard Fournette right now, which is awesome. Like Leonard Fournette's awesome right now. He's great, dude.
And he won't get the Fournette every snap roll. Like Harris will have some, but I think the high value touch share that Romanja Stevenson can capture in terms of a goal line roll, maybe a split goal line roll with a lot of the receiving work. I mean, that's just how you win.
I think
PPR
DeAndre
leagues.
Swift on a good offense is what it reminds me of. Because like Jamal Williams was getting touches last year when they were both healthy, but Swift had a massive target share and he was also getting red zone work. And he was getting he had a good red zone numbers on a team that wasn't good. Now imagine that on a team that is actually like legit top 10 offense.
Last year, longtime New England running backs coach Ivan Fears compared Ramondre Stevenson to LeGarrette Blount in the way that he can operate in that offense. So I think that is a fair comparison, and I know maybe not everybody remembers how fun it was to roster LeGarrette Blount for that one great season as the main back in the backfield in New England. I think Stevenson could do something like that.
Just real quickly, I considered Stevenson as my league winner. Consider Gabriel Davis, which seems like when the guy gets so inflated, it seems hard because it seems like there's no value that they're being drafted, their ceiling, but he's still being drafted as like a barely there wide receiver 2, like in the sharp pools. I'm sure he'll be a wide receiver 3 in a lot of the more like conventional redraft pools by ADP. I just think Gabe Davis still has stratospheric upside. I almost feel like saying DJ Moore, who's like going in like the 16 to 18 range, and I think he's more of a wide receiver 8 to 10. But I'll say, talking about information vacuums, I think J.K. Dobbins is like a potential league winner as like a guy who's going to like the RB2 low end. And like the vibes are bad. We were talking about during our mock, like they're not good, but they didn't add anyone of note in free agency, only Mike Davis. They didn't add anyone of note in the draft, only pass catcher Tyler Beatty. Gus Edwards isn't going to be healthy at the beginning of the year. We don't know for sure if J.K. Dobbins is going to be healthy at the beginning of the year. It's an offense that has to go back to its more run-heavy ways. I mean, I've said over and over, they literally drafted a first-round center. Like, they want to get back to the run-heavy ways, and it's still J.K. Dobbins to me. And the ADP is just pretty reasonable. And J.K. Dobbins, though, he could be like it's a volatile pick. Like, it's not a guarantee, but I think the upside he has much more upside than he has. Even if he has a legitimate downside, I think he has much more upside than downside at his low-end RB2 ADP.
I love the Dobbins call. He's especially the way things are shaking out. Like, things in training camp have really gone out about as well as you could, in the sense of I didn't love Dobbins because I didn't think he would have a strong pass catching role. I didn't think his rushing role would be incredible if he was splitting work with Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards recently was the Athletics' Jeff Zrebiec. I'm so sorry, Jeff, for your name that I can't pronounce, even though it sounds kind of like my last name. Like, they should come from the same country of origin. But he said it was doubtful, probably doubtful, I think is exactly what he said, that Gus Edwards was playing week 1. There's a very real scenario where by week 1 or 2, we've seen a large role for J.K. Dobbins, and you can't take that back. You can't put that back in the box. If he was running as good as he was as a rookie, which was like 6 yards a carry on like a meaningful 150 or so touches, you don't put that back. You don't put that back in the garage. If we see 20 touches for a massive game, I think Gus Edwards just fall to the wayside. And that's such a good win condition to have for him that I'm getting more of him now.
On the other side of the coin, hello, there's Denny Wilkinson, Ziggy. My daughter failed in breaching my office. He tried to break in during the mock draft. Denny's dog has breached the fortress and joined the mock draft. The other side of the coin, red flag players, guys with like legit ADPs who could sink teams. We'll start with you again, Corinne. Who do you think is kind of like the biggest landmine sitting out there, say, in the first 4 to 5 rounds?
Well, I wanted to just mention quickly on Kyle Sky Moore point, that I think Juju Smith-Schuster is someone that like I have been kind of avoiding as a potential landmine because he goes in like the 4th or 5th round, but he in our mock draft today went in the 6th round. So he's someone in kind of like you might get that home league discount on. And at that price, I don't view him as a landmine really at all. The guy for me, and I guess this is maybe somewhat similar. I've not been super interested in Mike Evans going in the late 2nd round, mid to late 2nd round, but he went in the 3rd of this mock. Maybe kind of the non-sickos will be discounting him a little bit as well. So I'll say Joe Mixon, who I just
feels right to me. I don't know why. So give us the case. Like what is kind of like the ineffable, like Joe Mixon is just not going to repeat case this year?
Well, because he really did it on touchdowns. And so you're betting on him really to get in the end zone a bunch of times because you do not have a path to him having the 3-down workhorse type of season that generally propels guys to the legendary league-winning types of seasons that we've seen where you just absolutely had to have that running back in that season, kind of the peak Christian McCaffrey, peak Todd Gurley. They're getting enough receptions. Maybe they're not all in that McCaffrey, Le'Veon Bell mold. Some of them are in the Dalvin Cook, Todd Gurley mode, but even those guys were getting like 4 receptions a game. And Mixon does not get work on 3rd downs, and every indication is that he will continue to not get work on 3rd downs and not really be a big part of the passing game. This is an offense that has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Hayden Hurst is like an okay pass catcher at tight end. Like, there's really they're not going to be needing to check down a lot, particularly if the offensive line is better at pass protection, which they should be quite a bit better than they were last year. And the offensive line was okay at run blocking last year. So you should see an upgrade in that element as well, but maybe not a massive improvement in run blocking, while you do get a significant improvement in pass blocking that allows the team to operate, hopefully, a little bit more like it should through Joe Burrow and the receivers. And yeah, I mean, they like Pirine. They had Pirine out there in the Super Bowl on critical, short downs, 3rd and 4th. They have Chris Evans, who was hyper efficient as a receiver in a limited sample last year. And they basically said, like, if he can do enough, if he can kind of improve enough, he'll be the 3rd down guy. So he's sort of dealing with a Nyheim Hines type of situation the same way Jonathan Taylor is. But Mixon has never shown the ability consistently to have those breakaway runs, just kind of being an elite talent to where it doesn't really matter if he has to split time. He's basically a workload play without a path to the workload.
Lawrence Jackson, who is the landmine you were avoiding early in 2022 fantasy drafts?
I don't be drafting Gabe Davis. I don't care what nobody's saying about
Cut his mic.
I don't be drafting. I'm not drafting that dude. That man living off one game. He living off one game, which the other team was busting coverages. Cornerbacks were slipping and falling down. No, I'm not. Well, it just depends what we expect of him every week. Is it top, 12 to 15 type numbers? Because that's what everybody sound like. If that's what we gonna get every week, then all right, cool. But I'm not expecting that. But that's what I also feel like everybody on that. And when it goes like that, it's usually too good to be true. Also, my last quick point about this, Josh Allen has had 2 amazing years, right? The past 2 seasons. His top receivers is that alpha receiver, Stephon Diggs, and the slot guy. Gabe Davis ain't the slot guy. He does have red zone efficiency. 8 of his 13 touchdowns have come in the red zone. But Dawson Knox has great red zone efficiency as well. So I'm good on it. Now, I would take him as like the low end, like top end wide receiver 3. That's cool. But I'm not expecting top 15 weekly production. I'm not expecting that out of Gabe Davis.
The Gabe Davis skeptics are going to have our heads on pikes when Isaiah McKenzie scores more fantasy points this year.
Oh yeah, I'm going in.
I'm scared. I'm terrified.
And if it's the opposite, I'm running. I'm running.
We are Legion. We are Legion, the Gabe Davis truthers. What truther even means in this context, that's up for you to decide. Kyle Dvorchak, red flag player. Who is it?
Alan Lazard, and the red flag is that he's not good. So that might be a problem for football. And I've almost been conned into taking him a few times when he goes below ADP, but he's just never shown the ability to almost even be like a wide receiver 2 on his own team. So I've been betting on like anyone else on that team or not at all. Maybe losing the best receiver in the NFL. I think it's at least fair to put him in the conversation, Devontae Adams. Maybe losing that will just be bad for the offense. And there is no, we gotta replace that role. I think the outcomes that that Alan Lazard gets a ton of targets might just be bad for the offense. The way we saw 2013 or 14 where Jordy got hurt and everyone's like, Cobb is getting 200 targets this year. He got some targets and the offense was just bad. So I'm not taking the guy who hasn't really shown much of an ability to get targets as the wide receiver 1 on his own team.
Before we get to Denny and I's red flag players, just want to remind everyone we are still going strong on ROTOWORLD Draft Day. Coming up at 7:25 p.m. Eastern, Matthew Berry will join me to discuss his return to NBC in the good old days when he was hired by Mr. Matthew Poliot back when he started at ROTOWORLD. We'll talk to trendy players this summer, including someone we may have just mentioned, Mr. Gabriel Davis. Then at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's the ROTOWORLD Draft Show with Matthew Berry and Michael Smith. There will be a host of guests, including Chris Sims, Mike Florio, someone named Denny Carter. I don't know who that is, how that got into this copy, and myself. Check it out. It's going to be an amazing end to the day. We've had so much good stuff. And now, but yeah, we've been positive all day. The good feelings are flowing. But Denny and I, we need to inject more negativity with our red flag players. Denny, who's your red flag player?
I'm always ready and willing to do that. Okay, so I'm going to say this name, and you're going to cut my mic, and the lawyers are going to get involved. But I'm saying relative to ADP, I think it's a landmine situation. It's Mark Andrews, and going as the tight end to 22 overall.
We're actually turning your mic up.
Oh, let's go. I'm also turning this mic up.
Yeah, look, I think we're going back. We're going back to the days when Mark Andrews was a very frustrating player to roster in fantasy. Last year, the Ravens, because of several factors, Lamar's injury, terrible defense, they saw a huge spike in offensive plays per game. They saw a spike in pass rate. Pat, you just mentioned a minute ago how all signs point to them wanting to return to the glory days, the EPA glory days of 2019 and
first round center,
2020, right? So we have this understanding of how they want to operate, and everything fell right for Mark Andrews last year. Everything broke right. So if you drafted him, congratulations, you got lucky. I'm sorry, but I'm a little bitter as someone who
very embittered
in 2020. But routes spiked because of everything falling just right. It's not going to fall right this year, probably. Okay, so yes, he's still good. In fact, he's probably the best tight end in the league right now. That doesn't mean that I'm chasing him at 22 overall. I'm out on Andrews there.
Corinne, are you in on Mark Andrews? I think you are in on Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I'm definitely in on Mark Andrews. I mean, I think that I agree with the idea that the offense is definitely going to regress. I mean, they want to play a more run-heavy offense. They don't want to be passing like they were last year. But I wouldn't say everything broke right for Mark Andrews. He had Tyler Huntley throwing to him a fair amount, which we're making excuses for Rashad Bateman because his yards per out run was much worse with Huntley than it was with Jackson. And it's like, well, now he gets to play with Jackson. Well, Mark Andrews does too. And he also doesn't have to play with Marquise Brown. We don't know if Rashad Bateman's any good. And I'm pretty sure that James Prochet and Devin Duvernay are not. So there's a chance where Mark Andrews is like a target hog wide receiver one in this offense. Like he's approaching 30% target share as a tight end. Like I know that they're going to be a run heavy offense, but you're taking him as the tight end too. You're taking him in the back half of the second round when Travis Kelce's going in the back half of the first. I mean, I think there's plenty of upside for Mark Andrews. I don't think he'll do what he did last year, but you don't necessarily need him to do that at a late second round ADP.
Yeah, 30% target share would make me
look
pretty silly.
Devontae Adams has logged on. I'll say really quick, mine it's Leonard Fournette, who I make this case with Matthew Berry, but everything Fournette getting more injury prone. He's been missing time the past years. Shows up 260 pounds. He's a guy who, again, you guys heard me say this at the Expo. Before he was Lombardi Lenny, he was getting healthy scratched in December of 2020. He just keeps defaulting into this position. They have another day two alternative as a pass catching back in Rachaad White. Just because Keyshawn Vaughn failed doesn't mean Rachaad White is going to fail. They lost 3 interior offensive linemen. He's not an efficient pass catcher whatsoever. He's one of the least efficient in the league. He's not an efficient rusher. He's not dangerous after first contact anymore. I just think Leonard Fournette's kind of one of those guys who's living on borrowed time, kind of like James Conner, like these guys who are just so dependent, like so role dependent, just so role dependent when he's just not even elite at the role. I just feel like Leonard Fournette going as an RB1 is just frankly insane, and I wouldn't be caught dead drafting. I mean, actually I would, but I wouldn't be caught dead drafting Leonard Fournette.
Where would you take him, Pat? Because I've seen him fall. Like he'll fall to the mid-third sometimes, and I'll take him there. I generally agree with everything you just said, but at the mid-third, I'm like, this feels like cheap for the touches. But
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe mid-third if I have 2 receivers already, which is quite plausible. But I mean, I would just construct a case not to do it. Like he's one of those guys where it doesn't matter the round is. I will construct a case about why he's not a value in that round. And I'm not a value-based drafter. I'm an emotion-based drafter.
Like how you do Zeke, right?
Yeah, that's how we all do Zeke. But guys, we're almost out of time. Real quick, like 15 to 30 seconds. Who are our favorite late-round flyers? Denny, I'll start with you because I think we've been talking about a lot of the same guys. Just like when you're on the clock in the final 2 or 3 rounds, who do you find yourself always wanting to take?
Wan'Dale Robinson, because it is Wan'Dale Robinson's season. I mean, he has a great track record of being a dominant rusher and pass catcher in college. I'm just trying to be quick here. And the Giants want him involved in their offense. I don't see any way that he's not going to get a ton of snaps and hopefully a lot of looks in that passing game. I think he could be a PPR scam, as Pat Daugherty would say.
Kyle Dvorchak, who's your favorite late round flyer?
I'll go Isaiah McKenzie. I think he fits that similar bill in a similar offense. And I also like to bet against Jameson Crowder, who got like no money in free agency. He's kind of just these like boilerplate run of the mill wide receiver 5'6" type of signing. I'm going to bet against that with Isaiah McKenzie.
Lawrence Jackson, who you getting round 13, round 14?
Paris Campbell, man.
I love the Campbell one, man. Oh man.
All he need is a chance to play, and I think that'll get to happen this year. Now Matt Ryan is there, and they've already built up some chemistry. So I'm really going him over Alec Pierce.
Total same. I couldn't agree more.
Dynamic ball player right there.
Patty O. Crane. Who's your favorite late round player?
I'll go all the way down to the 18th, 19th rounds. David Bell is a guy I've been taking a lot these days. He's back in practice. Dealing with an injury before. And, I do wonder if we get Jimmy Garoppolo to Cleveland. And I almost can't think of a guy who would benefit more from Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo loves throwing short, loves throwing over the middle. David Bell's going to be playing out of the slot. Kind of a PPR scam as well that you can get in the last rounds.
I won't repeat my infamous Velus Jones late round flyer.
Nor should you.
From the Expo.
What?
By the way, Ian Hartitz, after he was on stage with me when I pumped up Velus Jones, and Ian Hartitz took him at the final pick in the Apex round, his final pick in the Apex draft. So people are listening. We're legion. But I'll say I'm going to go with Denny.
No.
Denny's been all in on Wan'Dale Robinson for a variety of reasons, but especially since Pat Leonard came on our show. Tom Curran made the same case for Kendrick Bourne, a guy who was maybe the least discussed 800-yard receiver in the NFL last year. Tom Curran is convinced the Patriots are going to more of a Kyle Shanahan-style offense, and he thinks Kendrick Bourne is going to be the preferred Kyle Shanahan-type receiver for the Patriots. He knows the Patriots as well as any reporter out there. He's been stumping for Kendrick Bourne all summer, and he's not becoming a hype beast. He still barely has an ADP. He's basically free. He could just remain normal Kendrick Bourne, and I want to drop him by week 3 or 4, but I just think he has unusual upside for a guy in the 13th or 14th round. And unless he develops an ADP and starts really surging here in the final few weeks, I'm going to have Kendrick Bourne on basically every team. And I'm going to have you guys on basically every team in my heart, in my analyst teams.
Wow, top tier transitions.
Hey,
top
look,
5
you
transitions. That's number
you
one.
spent-
Baby.
But no
Spin
team's better than this team.
Yeah, exactly. This guy knows what I'm talking about.
My man spent 1 week. We all get 1 weekend together. Now we're all in his heart. Hey, that's cute. That's cute, man. I feel that.
No, please keep following everyone at Pat Corain, at Lord Don't Lose, at Kyle Tweets here, at CD Carter 13. Filling the website with so much great content, keeping the draft guide updated. Now stay tuned for myself and Matthew Berry at 7:25 p.m. Eastern, and then Matthew Berry and Michael Smith at 8 p.m. Eastern for the ROTOWORLD Draft Show, where they delve into our award-winning draft guide. You get all the guests: Chris Sims, Peter King, Mike Florio, Denny Carter. It's going to be well worth your while. Thank you so much for joining us now. Thank you so much for joining us all day. I'm Pat. We'll catch you later.